All right. Kia ora, everyone. Very good morning or good afternoon or good evening to all of you. We are very pleased to have this webinar organized for all of you because this is a golden opportunity to hear one of our wonderful academic dean, faculty dean, and also head of international. Before that, I'd just like to probably share the screen so you can see the agenda for today, and then we can start on with the webinar. Thank you. Just give me one moment, share screen. Right. Can you see the screen now? Awesome.
Yes.
Great. So before we start, just like to acknowledge the presence of some of our panelists. Then we can, I don't want to do injustice to our speakers, probably let them introduce themselves and talk about the experience and background. So we have Clara Wei, who's the China Relationship Manager. Clara, do you want to say something?
Kia ora, everybody. I'm Clara. Nice to meet you, or perhaps there's some agents we've met already. Look forward to talk with you very soon, and we're happy to answer all your questions after Jenny and Peter's presentation later. Thank you.
Thank you, Clara. Then we have our education consultant with a lot of experience for South Asia. So Mr. Paramdeep Singh.
Hi, everyone. Hope everybody is enjoying the pre-COVID time now. And stay safe and healthy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Parandeep. We do have Joseph Kyumba, who's the International Marketing Coordinator. Joseph? Cannot hear you. It's on mute.
Kia ora, everyone. So you can hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you very much for attending this webinar. In fact, this is our first time to have this information session. And we have two speakers, so later they will be introduce themselves. And if you have questions, so later we'll be happy to entertain those questions after the presentation. And enjoy this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph. And just about myself, my name is Bipul Das. I'm the International Business Development Manager. So working with a wonderful team there to support you and provide you more information. Right, so the information session for today is, I think it's a golden opportunity for an audience like you and even for us to know more about what should you be thinking when you look at the post-COVID situation, because the world has changed rapidly. So what are the things you should be keeping in mind? And the topic for the webinar today is if you're thinking of a career change or even upskilling your technical qualifications or your skills, what are the things you should be keeping in mind? So I think I'm excited. I hope you're all excited to hear our speaker speak today. So I think without any further ado, we can pass the floor to our first speaker, that is Jenny Fountain, and she's the Faculty Dean for Health, Education and Environment. So she's going to talk about the opportunities we have at Ohomai, and maybe talk about some of the attributes you should be looking as a student in the employment field. And then we have a very good academic expert and also a current head of international, Mr. Peter Richardson. So he can talk about the flexible options, the options for the international students to study with Ohomai, and the discounts we're offering to new international students. So right, Jenny, it's all yours. Excited to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. So I'm currently in Tauranga and there is a storm happening and it's very loud. Honestly, I can't see outside my window. So that's not a very good promotion for New Zealand. But thanks, Bipul, for the welcome. So yeah, I am Jenny Fountain. My current job is the Faculty Dean of Health, Education and Environment. Now, my background is a primary school teacher. And then I also worked in high school, so I've got a very strong background in education before moving into tertiary. I used to be the faculty leader of business and legal studies. and I used to teach the Graduate Diploma of New Zealand Immigration Advice, so I know a little bit about the international space, and I'm also a lawyer. So you've got an absolute combination coming at you today, and I will stick around to the end to work with Pete and maybe to answer some of those questions if we do have some questions. Essentially, what I'm here to talk about is to just give you a sense of how things are going at Toi Ohomai post-COVID and the options that we have for students. As many of you will be aware, we do have a large number and diverse variety of courses and programs at Toi Ohomai, and it really is going to depend on students' interests, or perhaps by interest, I mean perhaps what is their driver? What is their driver for being in New Zealand, or whether they want to stay? So we have quite a variety in terms of quite specifically academic, which you would understand, in terms of those higher level programs where we predominantly see a lot of our internationals usually. However, in this post-COVID environment, there is a lot of work opportunities in different areas which students may not have normally considered. So by that, specifically, we're talking the health trades and apprenticeships and primary industry. So we have got a large number of quite focused health area programs like healthcare assistance, aged care, sterilisation. Some of these programs are taught on our campuses specifically, and others are in an online environment. So I'm really sorry because I've got builders outside my window, so if you can hear that, I apologise. So what we have now is, rather than previously we had quite, I think, I would say quite restricted sometimes learning environments, like it was very much classes and you came from a Monday to Friday. Post-COVID, a bunch of our programs have adjusted, and we believe we have much more flexible programs that people can consider studying. So that may fit in better with people that are juggling a job and not so much that pressure of having to give up a job and trying to fit their 20 hours or so of work in a weekend or in the evenings. We may have more options now for some flexible arrangements. The other area is around construction and trades. So those are what we would call have been lower levels. So levels sort of 3, 4 and 5. And that is construction, building, that type of interest, and the other is primary industry. So these may be areas that your students or people you know may not have previously considered, but things to do with horticulture, animal care, marine, things to do, conservation, and there's a large list, if any of you are familiar with the website, but on the TEC website, to do with areas that we're seeing of interest, and I would imagine some of those areas would also pop up in the Immigration New Zealand skills shortage lists. So we have all sorts of programs, which you can appreciate everybody does, but holistically, and what we think sort of going forward, a lot of what we have to offer that will be advantageous are these capabilities. So regardless of the actual program that your students or your clients may be involved in, it's the skill set of, you know, the right attitude for work, communication, teamwork, you know, self-management, willingness to learn, thinking skills, resilience, you know, learning a bit of resilience, innovative entrepreneurship, and cultural competence. I think for me, one of the keys that I find in most of my studies with the students is around these areas of critical thinking and analysis. It is something that we do in a New Zealand environment or a Western environment, and it's sometimes the area where we find that international students who have come from a different learning background have struggled in the past. And by considering perhaps programs that they haven't necessarily considered in the past, so say maybe not in the postgrad space, but looking at those lower levels, those trades, health, those sorts of skills, we can build up those skills, that critical thinking and analysis, which will help in the long term for job opportunities and yeah, where the vacancies and things are. I'm not really sure what else I can tell you other than we do have a very strong supportive pastoral care that we wrap around our students, and that is provided by both us and the teaching faculties and our teachers, and also by Peter's team in International. But I will stick around and I will be happy to answer any specific questions people may have at the end after Peter has spoken. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Jenny. Sorry, I'd just like to apologize. We got one more panelist, Ada Chen. Ada Chen is the International Service Manager. If you can quickly introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to these workshops. Thank you.
Short and sweet. Thank you, Ada. Right. No, that was really good, Jenny, but I'm sure there'll be some questions coming through very soon. So our next speaker is the head of international. I would pass it on to Peter to introduce himself, and he can talk more about the options for onshore international students. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Bipul, and thank you, Jenny. And Ada, that's the shortest speech I've ever heard you say. Thank you, Ada. Just to clarify a couple of things. So we are, of course, really focusing on onshore international students today and agents. And so Jenny was talking about, you know, those opportunities that are now available onshore. And just recently, the government has announced some targeted training programs, which we're happy to share with you if you request them, particularly in the areas that meet skill gaps and the shortages that New Zealand has in employment. So from my perspective, if you're an agent or a student and you're thinking about, okay, I need to do some more study, some more upskilling this year, perhaps I can't get the job I want, whatever that might be. There are a number of qualifications that we have that fit those skill gaps, and you know, to be specific, it is programs like construction, engineering, architecture, primary industries, forestry, in the health area in particular, like Jenny mentioned. And so do some research, but and the government has actually just announced that they're those targeted areas, and we have a list of those, and we do have a lot of qualifications that fit into those targets. And so perhaps your students as agents, or if we have students here as well, thinking about what my outcome could be over the next year to two. Maybe you've been through a situation where you've been working in a particular industry which you don't think has the future you thought, or and so you want to do some more studies. And so here's an opportunity. You know, out of COVID has come a lot of opportunities, and so we're going to be promoting those programs that really do give those good employment outcomes for students, because we understand the majority of students that are with us or in New Zealand are really looking for good quality employment outcomes, and hopefully moving into some sort of post-study work rights and residency possibilities in the future. So what we've done, Ohomai has done, is we've looked at the fact that we've come up with some discounted fees for mid-year and later intakes, 2020 intakes, and I think we've shared that with the agents, and so those figures are actually available to you in terms of discounts, and the first of those will start on July the 20th with our July intake, but there are later intakes as well planned. And so please take a really close look at what you think is best for you and your family if they're here, and how you can achieve those outcomes that you want. And sorry, I should have introduced myself if you don't know me. I'm the head of international. I was previously faculty and have taught myself, and used to work with Jenny quite closely in the business faculty and with the immigration program as well. And something that we all have in common at Toi Ohomai is our real devotion to this outcome of students. And so that I'm coming from the perspective of have a really good think about what's going to fit your future plans, have a look at our options for mid-year and later, and engage with us, because I'm sure that we have a solution for you. And to give you an example, you know, I've got 5 sons, okay, and all of my sons have gone through, and they all have different careers, and I've always spent time talking to them and about, okay, actually, what do you want to do? Really, what's your passion? Where would you like to be in a couple of years' time? And what's going to make you happy in terms of employment? Don't just choose something because you think it's what you're supposed to do. Think about what you really want to do. What's got that great outcome? What's your skill set? And like Jenny said, you've got to have those sort of soft skills of resilience and communication, and of course they're a given, okay, but as agents, you know, talk to your students about what is their passion, and the students here, you know, think about my future. What is your future? So we have a set of discounted fee options and payments. For example, you can pay 6 monthly fees, etc., for mid-year intakes. Do some research on our programs, how that best fits what you want to do. Look at the fee structure. Talk to us, okay, engage with us, and as agents, of course, all that excellent relevant information will help your students make their choice. So that's probably enough from me. And like Jenny said, there's a bit of a storm going out on in Tauranga at the moment. Quite interesting, isn't it? So I think, yeah, that's from me, and I'm happy to answer questions from the audience.
Thank you, Peter. No, I think that's absolutely right. It's just having that clear expectation of yourself, what you want to do in future, something that makes you happy, and something that would provide you bread on the table. I think that's important. But I think that's even just talking about myself being an international migrant, I did look about you know, what I want to achieve in the future. So coming from the hospitality background, I did my research for different countries. Then I thought New Zealand is one of my best choice. 15 years later, I don't have any regrets. Got a beautiful family, you know, just enjoying the beautiful nature of New Zealand and the safety that we provide for our international migrants. As Peter highlighted, we do have a lot of programs, more than 250 programs, and many of them are leading to good employment outcomes. So I think I won't talk much. I'll probably leave the floor open to all of you to ask any specific questions, because this is your golden opportunity to hear from the experts. But again, the panelists are also there. If they can also want to add something, more than welcome to do so. Okay, I think we got one question here. Right. So the first question is, maybe it's from one of our education partners. We currently recruit offshore students only. Are we allowed to promote and recruit onshore students? Because we got some inquiries. Peter?
There's absolutely no problem. If you have an agency contract with Ohomai Institute of Technology, then your recruitment of students is essential for us. So we're not distinguishing between onshore and offshore students. It's about engaging with them and finding them the right pathway. And that's, yeah, of course, it's not a problem.
Absolutely. So we are open to accepting students from you, those who are onshore in New Zealand. Great. So the second question is from JC. JC is asking, given the pandemic, you mentioned that there are industries targeted for career employment, construction, engineering, architecture, forestry. What is the top industries that are being highlighted? Jenny or Peter?
Yeah, so I don't mind answering that. I mean, those are the top industries, essentially. That's why they've become in that targeted area. But I think it's going to depend on the students themselves, how long they wish to be here for, what sort of immediate gains they may be, or what is going to suit them in the long term. So when I look at that, there's different career paths within construction. for instance. So it may start off at a lower level and someone may be interested in getting into that, and then that's very hands-on, and they may be able to use that and then go out and seek employment and get a few years under their belt. But then it's the sort of industry that you can then come back into, and there can be some further qualifications. I would say the same around that with forestry. Some of that need straight away with forestry, maybe some very hands-on forestry skills, using gear, felling trees, you know, real practical stuff. And yet that's also an area that builds on. So someone that may have some management skills or an interest in management may start in forestry or construction with the idea that they may go forward and consider things like, you know, first line management to then run crews, forestry crews, and then also things in construction which could lead to project management. And we have further postgraduate areas in that. So if you're, you know, if you're here based in New Zealand and you're looking and reading the local papers and Herald and all the articles that are coming out about needs, I would be continuing to look at that skills shortage lists, essential skills that are required, and just looking at the media and saying, where are these big businesses? Where is this need? And we're going to continue to see that, because as other countries are still impacted by COVID, there will be industries in New Zealand that are going to be able to continue to go forward and have opportunities, because others may have been shut down from other countries.
Yeah, actually, also we do have the list which we can share with you, which the government has just provided to us. That so I'm not too sure, Bipple, if we can share that with, perhaps can we get it emailed out to the agents?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can share that with you after this webinar and email it to you. So I think that's a good knowledge for you to have. What's the focus for the government of New Zealand? Which are the industries they're targeting for the skills gap? So we can do that. Right. So moving on to the next question. Again, it's JC. Thank you, JC. What are the process the students have to do to enable to upskill, and how does it affect their current study program?
Yeah, so Peter and the international team can probably talk about the impact there may be on current study programs or specific visas. The only advice I would give is that I wouldn't want anyone to finish anything they're doing partway through and not complete. So even if they were considering a change of study, my suggestion would be to complete the semester so that that's nice and tidy, and then to have a look at what is the other option in a new semester, because as things go along, that means that the study that has already been done is still going to be credited to that student. And we also have opportunities going forward that even if the study that was previously done may not be continued, there can be cross credits or portions of that awarded towards a program, a qualification that the student may end up in. So it would be clean. My suggestion, don't leave part way, finish off nice and tidy, and with a look to change potentially.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to add to that, you do need to finish your studies. If you're here on a student visa, I mean, that's what you're here for. If you're coming to graduate in the middle of the year, or if you have already graduated, then now's your opportunity to look at something that you can really get your teeth into and upskill yourself. But yes, please, like Judy says, you need to finish what you're doing. That's essential. Bipple and Ada, have you got anything else to add to that about the current studies and visas and etc.?
I think I'll add on. If the students consider for further studies or anything, it would be great if you're on site with us. Contact us directly, but if you're offshore, let us know and email us, and I think we discuss with you individually so we can talk about the process, what would be the impact, what would be the advantage, and how much the fee will be. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ada. Thank you, Peter. Jenny. Right. Can we have more information about the fee structure as you just talked about for 6 months fee? Yes, I think we'll bring it up on the screen as we go to the next question. Joseph, is it possible to share that on the screen?
Sure.
We can come back to it. So
Sure.
we'll share that with you so you can get an idea about what's the fee structure for onshore students who want to study with us. Right, so Leon is asking, can I please ask you to comment on the Master of Management program with specialization in health? With the current global COVID-19 pandemic, there's increased interest around public health, health management, etc. and trying to provide more information about the career outlook in New Zealand for this subject area. So Master of Management in Health coursework,
Sure.
What are the opportunities?
So there's always opportunities, but I think you have to be asking your students, and what is the outcome? What is the outcome that they're looking for? So the reality of that health area may be a little more specific than that Masters of Management. There's nothing wrong with the Masters of Management. I used to manage that class and I program, and I certainly teach all the health aspects of it, and that's absolutely fine. Maybe more for someone that's already coming from a health background that may have some specific skills that may be of more of an interest. But if we're looking about health and how we would manage that, I would be looking at perhaps potentially more specific areas. We're talking sterilisation, nursing, healthcare assistance, aged care, things that are actually much more vocational. Which is where we work at. That's going to be that immediate need in terms of employment. But we do still run the Masters of Management and with that area in health. And so that would be looking at sort of managing within a health sector. But I think for me, it's about what is the intention of the student. And I don't want to sell a false hope that someone can come and be in New Zealand and they're going to do this program and work in a hospital and manage 50 staff. That's not how it's going to work. So if we're looking about employment opportunities and someone changing a career, it's thinking about how do you get that skill and then that ongoing work experience that would match that qualification, whether that was nursing or healthcare assistant, match that, getting hopefully more access straight away to employment, so that then the qualification matches the work experience, which you can then bundle up further forward and go forward and gain more skills typed visas for a longer term benefit for students, like skilled migrant. Eventually that may have a greater chance. Cecilia just asked a question on the chat there. So I'll just jump in, Cecilia, because I know you as well, about what is the future of the business management programs considering the pandemic now and 2 years from now. Look, I don't think there's never anything wrong in doing management. Business management is contextless. So if you have students that are coming, or yourself, and you have a very specific niche, so you may come from health, or you may have come from education, or you may have come, the skills within a management program are always going to be beneficial. But if you are looking for straight away jobs, for people to walk into jobs, that is not where we're saying we are, the list that we're going to be providing, this is where these key needs are. And if that's about training for work, then potentially those should be had a look at those first and foremost, but we're not going to suddenly lose business management programs, no, because someone always has to be the boss.
I think that's right. It's just getting those management skills which you can apply to any industry, given your background and the expertise which you bring from your home country. I think we have seen a lot of bright international students with the right qualification, and given the platform we have in Ohomai, they bring their own, own skills, own life experiences, and then move on to the next level. And it takes a while to go to that senior position, but as long as you get your foot on the door, then you can, always rise from there. So I think that's very important for you to know. Right. So the next question here is, hello, respected seniors. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Let's see. Sorry, I lost that question here. Okay. Could you please let me know about the online classes for the course New Zealand Diploma in Information Technology, Technical Support Level 5 and Level 6, at the same time for the course Culinary Arts Level 4 and 5? Will there be online classes for these courses or not?
I'll jump in here. So firstly, if you're an onshore student, then you're expected to study at the campus. So you can't study part-time online courses unless you have a work visa, of course. But if you're planning to be a full-time student, you need to attend the classes at the campuses, which could be, have some online components to them. The actual online courses that we're delivering for offshore delivery only, and those courses are just for sort of preparation courses for people to come hopefully early next year when the borders open. So in terms of those particular programs, Neither of those two programs have, there is an online course being set up for the New Zealand Information Technology Level 5, but that's not till November. And the Culinary Arts won't have any online components simply because it's a very practical based program. So please just understand, if you're an agent or a student, that if you're an onshore student, you're expected to study full-time unless you have a work visa, and you'd be expected to come to the campuses as per normal, like all of our other current students that we have here. Anyone else want to add anything to that?
I think that's right. Again, just highlighting that we are a vocational institution, so the skills you learn in the at Ohomai would be, it would be very much in line with the skills that's needed in the workforce. So I think that's important, having that clear identification of focuses on vocational education, making you job ready. I think that's very important for you to know. Right. Okay, so the next one is, do you have a team in Tauranga to assist student in student visa issues? Yes, we do have a team. We got a wonderful staff named Kavita who looks after the applications team, but also assists with the visa inquiries and processing. We do host regular webinars for the student onshore, offshore, sometimes to assist them with visa inquiries. So yeah, we can help you with any, if you have, if you're onshore, you can come to international office if you're living nearby, and we can assist you in the next process for your visa application, for your student visa, that is. Right. So the next question is, would it be suitable for someone without clinical experience, but with a relevant health degree qualification?
I'm wondering if that question from Leon was about in reference to the Masters of Management, perhaps with that health strand. So if that is, yeah, it's absolutely suitable as long as people meet the entry criteria. I think we have to be quite clear though, you know, this is a master's program and people need to understand what they're in for that. And just in that international space, I mean, lots of people offer it, but it is a lot of ongoing work and the expectation of work that's there. So someone does have a qualification, a degree beforehand, that usually meets the entry criteria. So that's good. So if you're talking about that master's, yes, we're not specifically saying that health strand is for clinical experience, but again, I just want people to be considering what is the outcome that they are looking for their student or for yourself. You know, continued study, that's all great, we love that, but for the long-term gain, you wanting to be able to hook it in with where is that work and where might those possibilities be, and that's that care that Peter and his team are talking about. We're not here to sell you product. We're here so that your experience or your student's experience is good, and then that, you know, that works for us. We're here for the long term. We're not here for the post-pandemic, basically.
Absolutely. I think it's about making an informed decision based on the facts you got. So that's why this webinar is very important for you to ask those questions. Right. So moving on, has Ohomai's Tauranga campus opened already for face-to-face learning, and will there be a July intake 2020 on campus for Bachelor of Applied Information Technology, and can this student do it online? Peter?
Yeah. So of course, Jenny probably knows more about the return to campus, and it's of course most of the students at the moment are finishing off their semesters. So there's a bit of a mix of online and face-to-face. If the face-to-face is quite necessary for some programs, so yes, they have returned to campus if they need to. From July onwards, we actually intend, we're basically thinking of business as usual. However, business as usual is going to be quite different. Maybe Jenny can expand on that, but just in terms of the Bachelor of Applied Information Technology, yes, there is a July intake, but please just remember that if you're a student, an international student, you are expected to study full-time, and again, you'd be expected to complete those face-to-face requirements on campus. Unless you have a work visa and you can study part-time.
That's right. Thank you, Peter. Ian Dennis is from the Philippines. Hi, Dennis. Just to set expectations for future students, can you please discuss about the new normal at Ohomai during the pandemic situation? Very good question.
How does
What's
it
the new
mean
normal
now
like?
or the new normal?
Yes.
So I think, to be completely honest, the pandemic was horrific and wonderful all at the same time. What it did is it forced a lot of our programs to consider how they deliver and the manner in which they might deliver. So I do see a lot of questions here about online, which as Peter has explained, doesn't match the visa's requirements for a student. But what we are creating is much more flexibility, and I think that's the key that we're looking at. We're looking at what are the things that must be done in a campus model, and how can we better support all students, not just international students, with online capabilities and availability of materials. So the new normal at Ohomai is just slowly getting back to what that may be. We're certainly re-looking at how we deliver. So rather than things being delivered over 5 days, it may be that practical elements are delivered over a shorter period. We might be looking at a 2-day session. We're certainly also going to look at when we deliver. So it may be more evenings, it may be things in the weekend. I'm not promising anything, but we're just trying to work out when is the best time for this. You've got to remember, it's not just your own, it's not just this session, it's not just international people that are looking at the potential after COVID and changing careers. We have a huge number of domestic students who will be looking at that as well. And what we have to think about is if someone's in a job, you know, for so many hours of the day, then perhaps we need to deliver in those evenings. So we need to balance that. Why I said that the pandemic was positive for us is it did force our hand, and a lot of traditional, what I would call traditional styles of timetabling and coordinating has had to be shifted, and people have seen what can they deliver in a different manner. And it's just like the Zoom that we're having here. Like, that's how I know Cecilia. So with the programs I used to teach, I taught them all online, and it's just using those technologies to better support our students while still delivering what is most important in that face-to-face manner. So the new normal is still evolving, essentially, I think is probably the best answer. Yeah.
Thank you, Jenny. Awesome. I think we'll take this question, then we'll share the slide for the discounts for onshore international students. Sai Kumar is asking, any information regarding November intake for international students on campus? Peter?
Yeah, so there's a number of November intakes that have been set up for programs. There's still some to be set up. We're just working on that now, but the majority of programs do have November intakes or summer intakes. However, of course, if you're onshore, that's fine. In terms of offshore students, we're still not really sure about, of course, when the borders are going to open at the moment. So, well, we have no idea at all. So yes, but there are a number of November intakes, and we can certainly send out that list to the agents again. We're just getting a few more set up, and then should have a final list in the next week or two for November.
Great, thank you, Peter. So yes, do send the application in. We would love to receive the application, and the processing time won't take long. We got a wonderful team who's onto it, and we will send the offer letter as soon as possible. Right, so I think what we need to do is we need to share the presentation for the discounts we're offering. So Joseph is going to bring that up on the screen, and probably Peter would be the best person to talk to it. So if you can see the screen here, I can see it on my screen. I'm sure you can as well.
Yeah, sorry, I just unmuted myself. So, sorry, just a little error on there. I see. It's actually for levels 1 to 7. So that some of the certificate levels also, some of those programs like culinary, etc., come under level 4 and 3. So basically level 8 to 9 is their level 7 and below is there in terms of the yearly fee. And what we have a discount if you pay the full fee up front. You get a discount of more than $2,000. And then you also have the option of paying it on a 6-monthly basis. And if you pay the first 6 months and then you pay the second 6 months by January, you actually get a discount as well. which is on here, 22nd of January. So I would certainly recommend, if you're as an agent, that you tell your students they're probably better to pay it up front if they can and get that discount and save themselves some money. They can use that for their living costs, etc. So that's the incentive for that. Anything else you'd like to add, Bipul or Joseph?
No, I think that's right. So I think we just like to acknowledge that it's a difficult situation for many students. So we are doing our best to support in the best way possible. So onshore students are more than welcome to apply. So as Peter mentioned, you can either pay upfront for the whole year and get the discount straight away, or if you think you want to pay after 6 months before the 22nd Jan, you can still get the discount as long as you pay before that date. And most of the programs are offered, as Peter mentioned, only there are selected programs that is offered to offshore international students online. But as normal, we have most of the programs are offered for onshore students, which you can choose from. Right. Anything? Does Parandeep or Clara want to add anything?
No, I think you have covered everything, Bipul. Thank you.
But the speakers have, so we're fortunate to have them in the room. Anything else? Any other questions we would like to? We'd be more than happy to answer them now.
People, can I just share our next webinar, upcoming webinar?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So perhaps this is the best time. So if I may just highlight this one. So on 29th of June, so we'll be having a very exciting webinar. It's called Information Technology. And this will be run by Kavita Dutt, the program manager for information technology. So we'll be talking all about the popular computing programs in level 7. As you can see on the screen, that is Grad Dip of Applied Information Technology, Grad Dip of Cybersecurity, and this is very popular now, Networking and Technical Support, Software Development, and the Web Design Development. So I'll be sending this to all agents, so kindly register in advance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joseph.
And yes, also, so we'll get that list of the targeted training areas out to you as well as agents, which is very important when considering maybe your next step as a student.
Right. Shruti Patel, can you please run the presentation again? Shruti, what we can do is we will share the email address for our team. If you can please email us and we can communicate further and provide you all the information you need, even any program specific information that will help you make a decision, then we can share that with you. So Joseph can type the email address for international inquiries, and then we'll be more than happy to connect with you offline.
Sure.
I think if you got no more questions, if your knowledge bank is already full, please, I think don't stop connecting with us, because we want you to ask as many questions, and we are there to help you with the right answers you need to hear. So again, like to acknowledge our wonderful speakers, Jenny Fountain and Peter Richardson. I learned a few things as well, how to be resilient, how to cope with the new normal. I think those things are very important in today's world. But again, the panelists in the room, Clara, Paramdeep and Joseph, thank you for your support. We are all in one team. We're all there together. We want to help you. We want to help you achieve your goal and your dreams. But again, you have to do your part too. I think that's very important. Thank you for your time. We will share this recording with the attendees today, and we will be waiting for more feedback from you later on. So stay safe, stay well, be positive, and keep in touch. Thank you very much.